Hey guys, today we're going to talk about changes in dimension. I know this was a really hard lesson, so I know you guys are asking for a video, so I will try to go really slow so you can make sure that you really understand it. It's broken into two parts. We're going to talk about perimeter first, and then we're going to talk about area. So first let me draw a figure. I'm going to draw a right triangle. Okay, so here's our right triangle, and we're going to have dimensions of 30 meters, 16 meters, and 34 meters. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is we need to figure out the perimeter. The perimeter is adding all three sides, in this case, since it's a triangle, all three sides together. So my perimeter, we're just going to use a capital P, is 34 plus 30 plus 16. And when I add that all together, let's see, I've got 64. Oh, I can't even do my math at this point, can I? This is not a good sign. It's 80 meters. All right, so 80 meters. All right, so that's just adding the three sides. Well, sometimes in real life, you know, they'll tell you that they're going to take a certain dimensions and they want to cut it in half or they want to double it to make it bigger. So in this case, for this example, we want to change the side lengths. And we're going to multiply them. So I'm just going to use an x even though we're using algebra. But multiply each side by 1/4. So I'm going to do it two different ways. At first I'm going to do all of the math. What happens if I wanted to change all these sides by 1/4? So I would take 30 and I would multiply that by 1/4. And then I would take my 16 and I would multiply that by 1/4. And then I would take my 34 and I would multiply that by 1/4. And I would find out that this, once I simplify, 2 goes into both of these, 15, I know half of 15 is 7.5. So I'm going to draw a new triangle. So if it was cut in fourth, this bottom now would be 7.5 meters. The 16 side, the height, would now be 4 meters. And then again, I could cut this in two and I would get 17, right? I'd get 17, so then we cut 17 and a half and I would get 8.5 meters. So now this side is 8.5 meters. Then in order to figure out the perimeter, I would have to add all these sides together. So perimeter would equal 4 plus 8.5 plus 7.5, and I would get 12.5 plus 7.5, that would be 19, that would be 20 meters. Okay, so we could do all of this math. We could take this perimeter and then we could multiply each of these sides by 1/4 and then we could figure out our new perimeter. But I'm going to show you an easy way. If they ask you to change the perimeter, all you have to do is take the original perimeter, which was 80. So this is like the fast addition. So I'm going to take my original perimeter, we'll just call it OP, and that was 80 meters. And then we're going to multiply it by whatever they want me to do to the side. So in this case, it's 1/4. So I'm going to multiply it by 1/4. Again, I can butterfly and simplify it this way. I know 4 goes into 80 20 times. And I would get my new perimeter of 20 meters. So in this case, when they ask you to change the perimeter, you could either take it and do all of the math over here, or you can use the formula of taking your old perimeter, multiplying it by whatever they want you to do to the side lengths. In this case, it was 1/4. Multiply it by 1/4, and then that will give you your new perimeter. So let me erase this really quick, and then we're going to do an area problem. So hold on just a second. So for me, either way, if you want to do all that math because it makes more sense to you, then go ahead and do it. I'm just trying to teach you an easy way that you could quickly get the answers. All right, so let's do an area problem. So in this case, I'm going to do a parallelogram. Ooh, that's not a very parallel line, a straight line. Okay. So in this case, we're going to get my height, right? And so we're going to do 8 feet here. We're going to do 6 feet here. And then I'm going to give you this side length as well. So when we're thinking of area of perimeter, I have to remember that formula. Use a note card to help you remember for the test. Area equals base times height. again, just like from my other videos when we learned about area of a parallelogram, my height is always going to be the one with the right angle. So it's 6. My base is going to be either if the number's given up here or if it's down here, what connects the height. In this case, it's 8. This is an extra piece of information. We don't need it for the area, so I'm just going to kind of cross it off because we don't need it. And then I would simplify, and I would get 48 feet squared because I'm multiplying 8 feet by 6 feet, so feet times feet is feet squared. So here, pretty simple, got my area. Sorry, I keep bumping my camera. So what happens if they tell you that they want the side lengths multiplied by 6? Okay, again, we could do it 2 ways. I could take my sides that I need and I can multiply each of those by 6. So I would change my parallelogram and I would say 8 times 6 is 48 feet, and I could say 6 times 6 is 36 feet. I don't need that 7 feet again. I could say, okay, my area is my base times my height, and then I cheated, I already did the math, but shh, don't tell anybody. All right, so I figured out that it's 1,728 feet squared. If you want to double check me and let me know at school if I did it wrong. All right, so that would be my new area. But what's the quick way to get this? Let me show you. So you would take your original area and you're going to multiply it by the number that they tell you. But it's not like the perimeter because I'm just not multiplying this by 6 and this by 6 and this by 6 and then adding the numbers. We're multiplying the numbers. Just like when we multiply feet by feet, it becomes squared. That's exactly what we're going to do over here. We need to square this 6 because we're multiplying it 2 times. 6 to this length and 6 to that length. So I would take my 48 times 6 squared, which is 48 times 36, and you'll see it ends up to be the exact same problem, and you would get your new area of 1,728 feet squared. So when they ask you how many times bigger is this parallelogram than the other one, we're going to say it is 36 times bigger. All right, I know it's really confusing, but again, you could either choose to do it the long way, which I don't have a problem with, but I also wanted to give you a shortcut way so you can remember how to do it that way too. All right, guys, good luck. I'll see you in school.